The FBI and Homeland Security are now warning the American people of possible upcoming attacks here on U.S. soil. And they're doing so because of some big events that are happening over the next month. Keep in mind that we have a presidential inauguration on January 20th, 2025, and we also have a Super Bowl in New Orleans on February 8th or 9th. Now, this is going to be big, okay? These events will be massive. They're going to bring in thousands and thousands of people, and the FBI is concerned not just for these two locations, but for all major cities here in the United States. I want to explain what's going on. I want to play you a couple clips from the former DHS secretary during the Obama administration, what he had to say just recently, and why this is a massive threat moving forward. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So this is extremely important. Look at this. It says the FBI is concerned about copycat potential after deadly New Orleans attack. It says bulletin says vehicle ramming attacks likely to remain attractive and urges law enforcement agencies to be alert. That is scary. When now we are not just looking for weapons, we're looking at vehicles as a weapon. That is extremely concerning, because how do you differentiate between the two? Between somebody carrying a weapon into a store or a school or a nightclub versus somebody driving down the street using their vehicle as a deadly weapon. Yeah, well, look at this. This right here says U.S. authorities assessed no credible threat to New Orleans ahead of New Year attack. So before this attack, nobody knew it was going to come. Nobody knew it was going to happen. And things like this happen more often than we are ever told. That these threats come out of nowhere. It could be somebody that's just mentally not stable. Somebody could have just been flipped for whatever reason. They could have been pushed towards a decision like this because of alcohol or drugs. Again, we don't know. But here's something else that we found out the other day. Trains were halted, and the FBI was involved because an explosive device was found on a train car in Treasure Valley. This was in Idaho. I want to read you a little bit of this. It says right here, the Pyatt Police Department said it received a report regarding a suspicious subject who was seen attempting to light something on fire near a parked railroad car on the 600 block of North 8th Street in Pyatt. Says officers arrived at the scene just before 6 p.m., found fresh footprints leading to a train car that had a suspected undetonated improvised explosive device, an IED. Okay, this is why it is so concerning. The crazy part is you can find instructions on how to make a somewhat of a explosive device online. That's what's crazy about this, is you can find these things. And again, it's frustrating because we can't do anything about it. But I want to play you a couple clips, because the Biden administration isn't sitting by. They are trying to do something to prevent this. But many people say it's not going to do them much good, especially when Biden only has 17 days. It's taken him far too long to do any type of action against other countries. And what we've done recently hasn't been enough. But I want to play you a couple clips. Look at this one right here.
President Biden vowing to take on ISIS following the terror attack in New Orleans after meeting with his Homeland Security team in the Situation Room.
Okay, so President Biden has vowed to take on ISIS, especially after what just happened in New Orleans. But I want to play you a couple more clips. These two clips are from Obama's former DHS secretary. Listen to what he has to say.
We're in the midst of an evolving, heightened threat picture right now. With the collapse of the Assad regime in Syria, with the attack 2 days ago, I'm sure ISIS feels emboldened right now. And we have several major security events coming up. the inauguration for one, the Super Bowl, and a couple weeks after that.
Like I said, those are two big events. And a lot of people wonder, well, yeah, but we could just put more security on those events. And we could. And chances are we will. But here's the big deal. Here's the reason why it's a huge issue. When there's thousands and thousands of people that descend upon a city for one specific event, okay, it's very difficult for the FBI and Homeland Security and local law enforcement to be able to keep track of every single person. And now that the FBI is concerned that we could see a potential copycat of the deadly New Orleans attack, well, how do we go and screen every single vehicle? How do we do that? We can't. This is why experts say that possible heightened threat events include tailgating at any football game, because guess what? Somebody could just hop in their car and just go. That's concerning. Another one, inauguration of President Trump. That in itself is a heightened security event in a normal year, in a normal election year, okay? This year, completely different because of all the threats we've already been experiencing here in the U.S., but on top of that, Donald Trump. That, according to some, say that right there, just because it's him, he's such a big figure, that this could be a huge, huge day for security. And then the parade for the Super Bowl winner. Not even, and again, these are just for vehicles. This isn't including the Super Bowl itself, which again is in New Orleans. Okay? That right there, it's a big deal. This is going to be in the city that we just experienced this terror-like attack. Yeah, let's keep playing this clip, and you'll hear more about what he has to say.
And I would say what I did say to my people at DHS when I was in office. Don't just respond to the last attack. Anticipate the next one, which may be of a very different character. Now, we've known for some time that the possibility of an attack with a vehicle is a weapon, or a mass shooting, is something to anticipate and prepare for. We should not believe that we've seen the last of this type of vehicle attack.
So right there, he says we should not believe that we have seen the last of this type of vehicle attack. That's troubling. Look at this. It says ISIS-inspired New Orleans terrorist attack is horrific reminder of threat the U.S. faces. It says Americans need to know the extent of terrorist threats inside the United States, and we need to know what our government is doing to protect us. Right now, and I've been saying this before, we have a lot of threats against us because of what we are doing in other countries, not here in the United States. But then on top of that, we had a somewhat of an open border, and that caused more than 1 million people over the past few years to come into the United States almost undetected. Just walk in and start lives wherever. This could mean we have terrorist groups here in the United States that we do not even know about, simply because they weren't screened when they came in. They just came in. Now, I want to play you another clip, but keep this in mind. The United States government, as of right now, is in a transition period. We are transitioning from the Biden administration to the Trump administration. We already know that during this time, we are seeing the Trump administration and Biden administration work together, so there's a seamless transition. The problem is, it will not be perfect. There will be gaps, and that's where the FBI is concerned. Now, the one thing I can tell you, though, is we do have more police officers, more local law enforcement, FBI. They will be at some of these bigger events. So hopefully that can kind of give you peace of mind if you are going to attend these big events. Let's keep listening to this, and again, talk more in a second.
For a while, you can see the terrorist threat to our country evolving from terrorist-directed attacks, where a terrorist organization overseas directs a large-scale attack on the United States, 9/11 being the prime example, the attempted underwear bombing, you may recall, the attempted shoe bombing, Richard Reeves, those were terrorist-directed attacks. We evolved from that in about 2013, 2014, to what we now refer to as terrorist-inspired attacks.
So again, keep that in mind. Now it's terrorist-inspired attacks. That's big.
Where a terrorist organization on the internet will attempt to inspire someone who is living in this country to radicalize and take it upon themselves to carry out a terrorist attack. We saw a spate of these in 2014, 2015, 2016, when I was in DHS. And that threat has not gone away, and I'm concerned that it's at a heightened level right now.
So, he's talking about terrorist-inspired attacks. This is the issue that we have faced as more people have immigrated into the United States, is that some people don't feel like they have a purpose yet. They might not have a job, might not have a place to go, right? Are looking for somebody to guide them. And if it's somebody it's the wrong person, they can guide them in the wrong direction, and again, cause them to, threaten other people's lives as well as their own. So we're going to see what happens moving forward. The one thing I can tell you right now is that the FBI, the Homeland Security, okay, they're all looking into every single event, every single situation. They are now, according to reports, because again, what we learned is that there was no credible threat to New Orleans before this attack. Now there are multiple threats, and these threats are happening all over the place. So what we know at this time is we just have to stay safe, and we need to protect ourselves at all costs. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.